Welcome to In Her Image, a podcast where we seek and celebrate our Mother God through scripture, scholarship, the arts, and everyday life. I am Jess Burdett, and I'm super excited to be here today because we have all three of us on the In Her Image team here together for the first time, I believe. And we're going to be talking about something new that's coming up that we're really excited about. We've put a lot of thought into it, and we have some cool things we're going to offer, and we think you're going to love it. So first of all, we just kind of wanted to introduce ourselves. If you haven't been around since the very beginning, we've been through a couple different co-hosts, and we just want to share who we are and what we each do on the podcast and what you can kind of expect from us. And then we'll talk about our new offerings. So I've got Jessica Woodbury and Meg Ripmanick here with me. Say hi, ladies.
Hello.
I'm Jess. I have been here since the beginning. Sarah Pixton and I started this podcast, May of 2021 on Mother's Day. And it's been such a journey. It's been a labor of love. I have felt so much connection and love and gratitude for the experiences that I've had with different people on this podcast. I live in Fort Worth, Texas. I have 4 children. My oldest is 8. My youngest is 1. And currently on the podcast, I do mostly editing and publishing. And Jessica and Meg do most of the interviews. So that's a little bit about me, and I'll turn it over to Jessica to introduce herself.
Hello. I am Jessica Woodbury, and I just joined, let me think, was it April of this last year? So it hasn't been quite a year that I have been helping with the podcast, but I have been listening since the very beginning because I, first of all, actually knew Sarah Pixton from when I was living in Boston, and we were activity days leaders together, which was really fun. And then I found her account online and was so surprised because I had been caring about the topic of Heavenly Mother for a really long time. And then I had no idea that this was something that was important to her as well. And so it was great to get reconnected and then to see when they started the podcast. And I have met Jess a number of times. A number of years ago, we attended a retreat together and just built up a wonderful friendship. And so I have loved being a part of this podcast. Like I said, if anybody's listened to my story, you know that this is a journey I've been on for a very long time. And so it's just so delightful and inspiring to be able to take time to have beautiful conversations with people about this incredible, uplifting, inspiring topic about the divine and about people's experiences with the divine. So I do all sorts of different types of interviews. I still do some interviews with individuals just about their regular journeys when it comes to Heavenly Mother and their personal experiences. I also talk with authors, and I have an episode coming up soon with another author and with therapists and that I have coming up as well. So we'll be talking about all sorts of different things, and I just love the variety of the conversations that we have. And as far as who I am in general, I live in Sandy, Utah, grew up in Las Vegas, have lived a number of different places over the years, and I love my family. My 3 daughters are just beautiful, and I love seeing the mother through them as well. And I love nature and the mountains. I love to hike. I love to trail run. I love to reach the tops of mountains. That's my favorite, mountaintops. I've definitely felt the presence of the divine there. And I love climbing and music and reading and just all sorts of things. So I am enjoying being on this journey with all of you. Thank you for letting me be a part of it and have these wonderful conversations.
Yeah. And Jessica is bringing us so many amazing, beautiful interviews. I just love the way that she interviews. I am Meg Ripmanick, and so I have been on the podcast for about a year. When I first came on, I wanted to emphasize kind of archetypes and those myth stories. And so I brought you stories about Anana, which was probably my favorite episode or series that I've done with the podcast, about her descent with Pam England. And I actually did an interview 2 years ago with kind of my story before I had come on the podcast as a host. And that story is episode 83. If you aren't familiar with my story, it's a little traumatic, you know? It includes kind of a descent of my own. And I think that's why I'm passionate about that story of Inanna, because I definitely experienced something similar. And after Heavenly Mother kind of came into my life, I just became obsessed with excavating and understanding where she was and who she was and how to connect to her. And so with that obsession, I have started writing a book about finding Heavenly Mother in Scripture. And I'm currently working on that. I've got 120 pages written. I'm cranking through it and I'm super excited about it. I am a mother of 3 kids and I live in Provo, Utah. I also love to hike, love nature, and just love those deep dives into spiritual things. So I'm so grateful I get to be a part of this team and that I get the opportunity to share the things that I'm thinking about and excavating. The things that I really want to bring to the podcast over the next little bit is kind of just digging up ideas and thoughts about priestesshood and our connection to the divine feminine and how we can live embodied in a way that is a reflection of Heavenly Mother right now. And so the last episode that we just did was kind of celebrating women's milestones in a divinely feminine way. And that was something that I kind of collaborated with Valerie Hudson. And it was a really beautiful collaboration. I highly recommend listening to that episode as well. Something else I'm also very passionate about is community, especially intentional community. And I've been super blessed to be involved with a group of women that gather intentionally and serve each other and gather for intentional ritual and just in love. And it's been so beautiful. Something that I would love to see happen with the podcast and we're hoping to kind of create is an intentional community with our listeners. And we want to invite you to come be a part of our community, to come be with us in different circles and in different ways and talk to us, give us your feedback, have conversations, get to know each other. And we want to answer questions that you may have. We want to address topics that you're passionate about or that you're curious about. And so we really want to have that involvement in community. We've missed out on that because we're not on YouTube. And so no one's making comments on the things that we are saying in our different episodes. We want to hear from our listeners.
So to that end, we have created a Patreon community. Our Patreon is going to have 3 different levels. And the first level is totally free and you can just be involved and aware of events and retreats and other things that are coming up. And we'd also love to hear from you feedback of what different topics you'd like to hear addressed, who you would like to hear on the podcast, things like that. So that's the first way you can be involved and we can kind of start a conversation. And then we've got 2 paid tiers on Patreon as well. We wanted to keep it super accessible. And so the first tier is $2 a month and the second tier is $4 a month. So depending on how involved you'd like to be, at the $2 a month tier, you will have access to an exclusive Facebook chat with us and whoever else joins. So we'll have a conversation going. Anybody can speak up whenever they want. We can talk about Heavenly Mother. We can talk about being a woman. We can talk about motherhood, faith transitions, whatever is going on in your lives and anything that you just want to have a safe space to bounce around different ideas and create new friendships and bonds. And then at the $4 a month tier, we're doing a Marco Polo group chat. So this will be face to face. We'll get to see each other. And same thing, we can talk about all these topics that we're passionate about together. And at the $4 a month, you can also be in the Facebook chat as well if you like to have a place where it's more of a text format. And Also, at our $4 a month tier, we want to offer bonus content. Occasionally, we have an episode that goes for like 3 hours and it's super, super good, but we don't want to publish a 3-hour episode because we typically like to stay around about an hour. It's a lot to edit and etc. But it's great content. And so when we have something like that, we'll stick it in our Patreon and you can access it whenever you'd like. And we'll also share things like occasionally after a conversation with a guest, we have like a little post conversation. And sometimes fascinating nuggets get shared in those that we don't put in the episode, but would probably be really interesting to hear. At least I would be interested to hear if I was just a listener. And so we'll put things like that in there as well. Just extra content, behind the scenes things. And then also at the $4 a month tier, we are going to have quarterly book clubs and Q&A sessions with us and potentially other of our guests. So Jessica wants to head up the book club. She's been excited about having a group that can read books and discuss together. There's just something so magical about having like-minded people. You know, if you're listening to this podcast, there are probably a lot of people just like you who are listening who, if we all read books together, if we interact in these groups, we'll probably have magic happen because these are the types of people that I want to be talking with. These are the type of people who already care so much about faith expansion and divine femininity. So these are what we've got set up so far to offer in our Patreon community, and we hope that you'll come over and join, whether you want to just be free and just be a fly on the wall and see what's happening and share your perspectives here and there, or if you want to be a little bit more intimately involved with us, you can join one of the other paid tiers, and it will be a huge benefit to us if you do decide to do a paid membership.
Yeah. So we are really excited about building up this community like Meg was talking about. I know personally how important it was to me through this journey to be able to have relationships with people who understand and who I could share things that were going on, some of the struggles, some of the joys, some of the things that maybe I was studying or reading that were really exciting. Also, the difficult experiences and processing those together. And I have been really, really lucky to be able to find groups of women where I have, a Marco Polo group with women who talk about these things. And I know how important that has been for me. And so I'm excited to be able to maybe help others that haven't been able to find those groups to also have that. And if you haven't already and you still just want to join for all the other things or to help support us, we would be so grateful. And we really appreciate the support for a number of reasons. One, we just love the feedback and the community ourselves, but also the three of us are, just giving a lot of our own time. We volunteer, we're thinking of who might be good on the podcast. We're thinking of questions, we're preparing, we're reading, we're recording, we're editing, and we're all mothers with lives outside of this. And so everything that we do, this is a huge labor of love from us. But on top of that, there are financial needs. And so to just kind of give you an idea, we have to purchase recording and editing software. And altogether, that recording and editing software, which helps us to be able to have the time to do this, costs, almost like $500, which is a big investment. In addition, not all of us have headphones that are working or microphones, and those things can be really beneficial when we are trying to put out the best quality of a podcast that we can for our listeners. As well, one of our wonderful hosts is so generous that she is paying for babysitters in order to record, because this is just our lives. We are juggling all of these balls. And so I just think that it's so sweet that she's also, paying to be able to record these episodes, just to be able to have someone to care for her children and to be able to have that space and time. We would also love, if we had the ability to possibly be able to pay someone to help us with our social media. We're trying to do a little better at that. But again, we're busy and we're investing our time in all these other ways. And so it would be great to be able to put out the content in better ways that could help those who might really benefit to be able to find it. Because that's really our goal. It's not about us getting famous or anything. We don't care at all about that. But we just want for those who could really benefit from these conversations to be able to find them, to be able to find their community, to be able to find a place where they hear the questions that they have being asked, where they hear the conversations that they have craved to have themselves being had. And so we just would appreciate so much anyone who is able or wants to contribute in this way by joining the Patreon tiers. It would really, really help us out a lot in the work that we are participating in. And also, if you don't necessarily want to join Patreon, we would love any one-time donations that you would be willing to make if you have the ability to do so. Jess has a Venmo that she's done in the past to try to cover the costs of like the Zoom membership that we have. And so if you would like to do that, we'll put her Venmo in the show notes. And if you're interested in contributing that way, just write that it's for the podcast on there. And for those of you who just are along for the ride and may not have the ability to contribute or to support in this way, just know that we really, really appreciate you being here. And we appreciate this community so much. And there's no need to feel obligated or guilty if you don't feel like that this is something that you can do. But we hope that we can continue to build our community this way, to continue to extend the conversations, to see who you all are and to become friends. So thank you so much for your support for us and for listening, whether it be to this episode or to just the episodes here and there as you have time, or the ones that are interesting to you personally, and just being part of this community.
Yeah. And for the first 25 people that sign up for a membership, we are planning on sending you a free gift. And we have a few different options of things that you could choose between. We have some pieces of art from artists. We also have handwritten poems that Jess has composed. I don't know if any of you listened to any of her amazing poetry that is so beautiful. To be able to have that in your home and something you could put on your wall or in a journal, that is one of the gifts we're offering. And also, I am offering the free gift of a downloadable PDF version of my and Valerie Hudson's Women's Milestones celebration book that I did a reading of in this last episode. We also will have options where you can do a one-time purchase of different downloadable content or gifts if you didn't want to sign up for the membership. So there's just so many different ways that you can contribute to this community and get involved, and also help us out with our many different costs that we are footing right now. Even more specifically, we just lost our way to be able to receive any kind of funds from our listeners. In the past, we've used Spotify for a monthly contribution, and Spotify is no longer providing that as a service. So that's why we are moving forward with Patreon. And we actually feel like this is going to be an even better option because we will be able to be involved with you as community. And we are just so excited to get to know all of you. So thank you for listening to the podcast, and we hope to meet you soon.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy this podcast, we invite you to come on over to patreon.com/InHerImagePodcast for more content and community. You will have opportunities to participate in Q&A sessions, quarterly book clubs, access to a Marco Polo or Facebook group chat with our hosts, and the insider scoop on events, meetups, and retreats. We're so excited to meet you. And of course, tune in next Sunday for another inspiring episode.